Well, I feel like society's in this trapped situation of
So
cycling and
trapped.
recycling, and it's all gonna bubble up, and something new
So
is gonna happen at
trapped.
some point. It has to.
You know what it is, Max? And I'm going to put on my academic hat right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because we've kind of run out of steam with postmodernism and deconstruction, because that was the whole ethos of art and fashion and everything to do with that for so long, at least since the late 80s and 90s, early 90s. That's kind of when it really kicked off. But we've been on that postmodern track for what now, 30 going on 40 years. So
Yeah,
that's being totally exhaustive. We're running out of ideas, running out
they're
of
ready for the next
creativity,
thing.
whatever that is.
What is it?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Gen Z is going to take us in that direction, but I think also Gen Alpha, whatever they're calling the generation after them, is really going to be showing us what the future holds. And I am curious what your thoughts are where we might go. Let's do a little trend forecasting, cultural forecasting right now. Because I think
Wow.
it'll go
Yeah.
in the way of transhumanism. I think that is the next step.
What's that?
Well, what I mean by transhumanism is in the philosophical term of humans be, uh, transcending their physical limitations through technology, through
Meta.
not meta, no, beyond meta. So thinking no longer being um, Homo sapiens, but we will be Homo technologica or something else. A new species that is beyond our physical bounds. I
I
think
think
that's
the
the
opposite's
next.
gonna happen. I think we're gonna snap back to a more physical reality. I
You
think
think we're
there's
going
going
back
to
to the
be,
medieval era?
uh, yeah,
Another dark
something where there's
age.
set rules. Like, as you can see,
Mm,
culturally, cultural media, social media, right? It's all becoming like there's becoming one answer. What's the bag? What are the
mm.
genes? What's the way to live? What should your house look like? How
Yeah.
should you entertain people? We're going back to
You think
Etiquette by
it's.
Emily Post. We're
You
going back
think?
to Victorian era rules. How can you talk to this person? What can you say to this person? How can you say it? In what circumstances can you say it? What does that mean? What do your glances mean? Like, everything is going to be
That's fascinating.
hyper watched and controlled, and there's going to be distinct rules for how everyone should act and live. I think that's going to be the next thing. What those rules are, maybe we
Fascinating.
don't know yet.
That's a fascinating take because I hadn't considered that, but you're kind of right. At least with Gen Z, the younger millennials, I can definitely see the rumblings of that conformity. That definitely was part of the Victorian era for sure. So that's interesting. I hadn't really considered that.
And
Maybe
Versailles, it sort of happens cyclically going back.
right. Yeah,
You
and
have rules and then breakdown, rules and then breakdown.
yeah, I watched this really interesting lecture a couple weeks ago, and nobody's going to care about this, but like the United States in particular, we have like 80-year cycles where we have four distinct generations that kind of repeat themselves in these 80-year cycles. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of interesting because that's kind of along the lines of what you're kind of saying. Because it is cyclical, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm curious about then is before the Victorian era, was there a similar deconstruction era?
French Revolution, Industrial Revolution.
Max, you're blowing my mind. That's so
Mm-hmm.
true. The Revolutionary era was
Mm-hmm.
right before that. You're giving me too much to think about.
It's gonna happen.
Although I wonder, because I definitely see that transhumanist trek with everyone, going to space and like we're finally technologically getting to a space with AI and with everything where it's becoming easier and easier to meld ourselves with machine in different ways that weren't expected before. I wonder if it'll be the transhumanist Victorian era You know what I
I
mean?
don't know. I think the whole like machine age thing is going to have some sort of backlash. It's going to make
You think?
the real stuff so much more desirable, and people are going to be
I
like,
don't think
"Oh, a
so.
book! I love this
I don't think
book."
so only because there's so much top down happening in that space. Like,
Well,
if the
yeah,
United States doesn't do it, China will
yes,
do it, or Russia will do it.
and I heard someone make this interesting point too about things like the metaverse and how people like us, we would never
Yeah, we're too old for
do
that.
anything in the metaverse. But you know who does do stuff in the metaverse because they're forced to by the government, which is owned by corporations?
Mm-hmm.
Students, the youth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They grow up educated in the metaverse.
which is insane.
They'll know all about it. It's
See,
what that's all they'll
so
know,
that's
and
why
that's how it's going to become a normal thing.
exactly. That's
None of us might ever use it. We might think it's a joke, but they can force your kids to use it in school.
yeah. And then when they get to the workplace, they'll use it at work, and it'll just
Mm-hmm.
be another iteration of personal computing. Like that was our era. Not to age ourselves, but that becoming like a normal thing to have internet in your house, whether it be dial up or broadband or whatever. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I can see the technology from the top down perspective colliding with the conformity where we can encode those rules and societal norms and etiquettes within whatever advanced technology we come up with. So I don't see a total backlash. I can see the backlash from the older generations and the people who obviously are a little resistant to it. I mean, I'm one of those people for sure. But I also see the corporate top down nature, the governmental top down nature, and also educating the youth kind of negating the backlash. Like, there might be a backlash, but I
Yeah.
think the backlash will be steamrolled by progress, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I hate progress.
Don't we all?